We build houses. We don't build homes. We literally build houses. The reason I'm saying that is because a lot of within the region, development doing has been coming from the heart. We have been working, our CEO, Sebastian Ditzel, and the family, the founders of this company, they might be German, but they have their heart in Tanzania. Reason being, they grew up in Tanzania when they were young, and they wanted always to invest back into Tanzania. And fortunately for them, they've also found like-minded people who actually, everything we're doing starts from the heart. We've been through hard times and all of us are still here. Yeah, 10 years down the line. So a lot you'll see even within the units, within the project itself, a lot of that. We've also been heavily obsessed with the impact that we have on the environment. That's what most people see. But as I mentioned, on the community as well. There's a lot of community elements within the development, and I'll get to describe this. For example, recently we just had a passing out ceremony for guards, security guards. And I can tell you majority of those guards come from the village right next to us. Majority of our workers, initially when we started the project, we always tunaongea na share pale. Anachukua vijana kwanza, we see, because they recommend young men and women whom they know they could work, and we train them. So a lot of even our landscaping, for example, is done by people who have been trained in permaculture principles, and that is what we mean by when we say sustainable. Because once we are done with the development, and maybe we leave an entity there that runs the development, how do you maintain that place the way it's meant to be? If you do not have actual locals from there with vested interests, how do you ensure the place is secure if right next door the community has no interest with the project? They're not gaining anything from it. They will be tomorrow our thugs there. So that's why we'll be trying, obsessed with the impact we have with our environment and also the community. And also, trailblazing, you'll see one of our projects, are very ahead of its time. I know for you all who live in the US, you might maybe look at it not so much as ahead of its time, but for East Africa and Africa, this is something that I'll show you one of the projects that is already shaking the industry, the real estate industry within the region. And last but not least, this is actually one value that I personally stand for, showing that green is actually an economy. In Africa, this is all we should believe in. Because unfortunately, we have moved away from a lot of what we used to do in a different way. That's why we are seeing our countries are becoming more and more expensive to live in. But if we could sustain the way Africa was actually meant to be, I personally stand for this, we could be able to show that this is a currency. So this is part and parcel of what we do. Just maybe to start us off, I wanted to show what we've achieved and where we've come from. We started off back in 2015, 16 then, yeah? When the government approached us about setting up a satellite city for Zanzibar. Reason behind it was they had seen the growth that Zanzibar has gone through, and even right now, if you come to Zanzibar, when I visited Zanzibar 10 years ago, it was my first time in Zanzibar. I think that was in March of 2012, 2012, yeah. A lot of Zanzibar, really beautiful spaces look like this. Right now, if you come to Zanzibar, you will already see the stress. I was just telling somebody how, when I went there was literally no traffic. I was shocked, coming from Nairobi, I come here to this beautiful place with no traffic, because even Mombasa has traffic for us. But right now, Zanzibar has exploded, mostly because of the tourism, of course, but there's more coming in. But the stress they were seeing in housing is what led the government to give us this piece of land. It's roughly about 600,000 square meters of land, 148 acres. And also fortunate for us, because it's very unlike Zanzibar to find a 1.5 coastal kilometer strip that is not owned by someone. So this was owned by the government. Actually, they owned more, because they owned it all the way till the end of the peninsula, and an entity called the Zanzibar Investments Promotions Authority. But just maybe to show you all where we've come from, I hope you can really hear. My audio is coming from my computer. I did not know that.
Hi, my name is Frank. Welcome to Rwabutaza. Something is wrong.
I'm not Bluetooth speaker. I'm not sure. I'm not.
So here, it all started 10 years ago. Nothing but a dream. The dream of a whole town, an inclusive town, and a safe town. A place where all kinds of people can come and live together in a beautiful environment. Aha. Good. I like it. And now, this one. Yeah, but that's pretty no there. See that? That's very clean.
This is just where we started from, what the project already looked like. This is actually a video we took probably maybe before COVID, just before COVID. So most of what we had were the townhouses. So this has changed a lot. And the community living there. At this time, I remember when we started the project and we had the first people moving in there, how I didn't feel people would move to a construction site in Zanzibar. But this was not the case. So we have, for example, it's just explaining some of the services we offer. So we offer, first of all, an end-to-end service from rental spaces, from rental services to property management as well, especially because a big part of our community that are bought within us, are with us, are not living in Zanzibar directly. We focused heavily on the green spaces. That guy is Franco. His main role is he's a German, but also been in Africa more than 20 years. So we've got people who are really passionate about Africa. And Franco is the person behind all the greenery we have. He's the guy who fights with our contractors day in, day out to ensure that where there is not a road, he can actually do something. And he's pushed so far such that I think 2 months ago, we now decided to move the infrastructure department because there's too much clash between them to be under him. So now he's even leading to ensure that all the spaces are green except for the places that actually need to be infrastructure. We have already, this is just the first area you'll see. This is going to play the first area when during COVID, that was our gem. I was stuck there for 7 months during COVID. Yeah. Yeah, beautiful views. As I say, this was prior to COVID. All these houses there are finished. But maybe just to touch on, this is what the area looks like. And again, I always look at these aerial photos and I'm like, it looks so small. It is not. We've right now had over more than 600 homes as we speak. Out of those 600, we have about 400 units already under rent. We have a few units, we understand their clients who did not buy to rent out, they bought as their homes. Those are the clients, for example, if they are not there, we try to assist them with management services of their homes. So far, we've invested together with our clients, like Steve, $85 million into that land. A big part of this, I'm going to tell you, is fortunately very recently, Tanzanians. It didn't start like that, yeah? But I'm starting to see more and more Tanzanians actually investing both in the diaspora, but also locally alike. Now this is not the end of our journey. What we are meant to build is 5,000 homes for the market of Zanzibar. And I will explain why. Zanzibar, as it stands right now, biggest part of its economy is tourism. If we continue to let urbanization has been happening there on a scale you cannot understand. But if we continue to allow, and this is why the government brought us in, to allow the urbanization that is taking place in Zanzibar to continue on that scale, we will soon not be able to protect the spaces that we have that make Zanzibar what it is. Yeah? And so the government came up with this initiative whereby they wanted to build a space where Zanzibaris, locals, foreigners also living there, alike, could come up in a beautiful city and not Stone Town. Yeah? And be able to enjoy like some of the things that we all enjoy here. Hopefully none of the negative stuff. And that is why for us the space was meant to host both recreational spaces, the residential spaces is the most obvious, but also commercial spaces. I had, just the other day I was having a conversation with someone about the commercial activities coming in here, because he was looking into a space, and I'll describe that. So this, I can tell you, is not fully a render. That's why I'm saying some of these images, like for example, this whole area here, that is a real picture that we blended into a render. So that's how the city is supposed to look like, but a big part of it is already an actual image. Yeah? And at the moment, we are estimating that once the development is done, we have roughly $500 million investment within the town. Now, before I continue further with Fumba Town, because there's a lot related to that, I want to touch on the soul, and this is why I was saying we're rebranding a bit away from Fumba Town being known as Fumba Town, but actually CPS. Because like yesterday we were having, I think the last 2 days when I've had webinars, I've had at least 2 people ask us, they did not know that we were actually doing other developments. And we do other developments, but the biggest being would be the Soul, which is also open to the public. This is on the east coast of the island, Baje. Fumba Town is on the west, so maybe just to show you on the map here. Stone Town is roughly here. So Fumba Town is roughly here, the airport is over here, and Stone Town there. So this is on the west coast of the island. So the Soul is on the east coast of the island. The Soul is Zanzibar's first condominium project that is a residential resort. I'll give you a small history. Sorry if I happen to talk a lot, but I would definitely want us to understand generally how all this has come to be. Fumba Town lies within a free economic zone. And the yenyewe inamilikiwa na the Zanzibar Investments Promotions Authority, which is under the Ministry of Finance. So, being a free economic zone, the area was always intended for foreign investment, mostly industrial, if I could put it that way. Because Zanzibar, if I can remember correctly, when we sat down with the minister, they set aside land that is very strategic, just behind the airport, is on the coast, such that if by any chance at one day Zanzibar is in need of industrializing, that the government held land strategically for that. They changed that now to a residential space based on the need that we currently have. And I'm glad they did that, because I personally would not want to see Zanzibar as an industrial island. Yeah? So generally, what happened after that, the success that we've had with Fumba Town, one of the factors that we showed the government was that the foreign investment that came in there, the ability for not just foreigners, but also Tanzanians who don't live in Tanzania to invest back home was a very big opportunity. And we showed them that was one of the biggest success factors behind the development. Because it's a model whereby perhaps a Tanzanian living abroad gets to invest in a beautiful space. The Tanzanian living in Zanzibar gets to enjoy that space, which then falls back as an investment return to the initial purchaser. That was always our image that we had of this. Be able to ensure that those who might not be able to purchase can actually live in the space. So based on that, the government actually back in 2010 had drafted what we call a condominium act that was going to allow foreigners at some point to actually invest in private property within Zanzibar. And we were able to show them that they need to finally remove this from the books and actually implement it. So we were approved as Zanzibar's first condominium project. So it's the first property where foreigners could buy a property on private land that was not related to a hotel. And what we built was a luxury resort. It encompasses 11 apartment buildings surrounding a beach-like lagoon. We're not on the ocean front for this, and that's why we built a very big lagoon. I think we were testing it earlier this week. It looks amazing. The idea behind it was also because of the kite surfing going on there, that we could also have other facilities like co-working spaces, a gym, a cinema, and just maybe to, is it not working? Speak. Sound.
Next slide.
I would love them to hear what.
Yeah.
Sorry about that.
Limited Smith, and I'm married to Martin. We have 3 children from London. We met in Mombasa, Kenya 33 years ago. So we raised our children in London, and at some point Martin and I decided that it would be the most amazing thing to find a home where we felt complete and where our souls felt at home. So we came to Zanzibar. We came to visit Seoul. It was completely empty, and we looked around, but my husband said, I just feel like my soul is settled here. I feel at peace here, and I feel real happy here, and that's where our journey.
Again, this is an image I personally took like a long time ago. So we have more than, I think, 7 buildings now, 5 buildings have been delivered, about 2 more about to be finished. And we have already occupancy within 4 of those buildings. Now, I want to give you the reason why we decided to do the project at the East Coast. For us, when we moved there, even as for me personally, I used to be a kite surfer. Yeah? So when we would enjoy the spaces, especially on the East Coast, because it was, unlike if you go to Nungwi, it was extremely touristy. Yeah? At certain times of the year, it is packed with tourists. And the East Coast was not that much. So you still got to enjoy the beautiful beach, but not as heavy traffic. And then it started getting a lot of traffic now from kite surfers. Because it is currently ranked as the 6th best destination for amateur kite surfing in the world. And that started attracting very, very many kite surfers from around the world. But also it started causing a problem because the kite surfing season are normally 4 months, twice a year. And most of them would not stay within a hotel for 4 months. So what they would do is they would rent within the village. I know we rented a house within the village and we were paying $500 for a house within the village in Paje because of the demand that existed. And the challenge that we started seeing, and if right now if you go to Paje, it's unfortunately to say, it's starting to become a small Nungwi because it is packed. Hotels now on the coast is literally hotel, one after another, one after another, one after another, such that we were looking for space to actually build on the ocean front. We couldn't get. When you come to the second front, it's the village. So generally also can't do much there. And so this particular development is on the 3rd row. And the irony of even it being the 3rd row, 234 apartments. This is a sold out project. This is a project still under construction. Still, we're only just right now about to deliver the pool, the lagoon. And I can tell you we already have within 4 of those buildings a lot of tenants. I was told by one of the clients there who is renting a house independent of us. She is renting out her house for $1,500 a month. She bought that 1-bedroom apartment for $47,000. Right now, if I was to sell one of those apartments for one of those 1-bedroom apartments, the one that was going for $47,000 is right now about $69,000 to $75,000. Yeah, and that is literally almost maybe 2-3 years ago, more or less. However, don't worry, there's still more. So I'll describe how we and what we've done to actually cater for that project selling out. Now, I know most of you, especially being my seniors, you understand Tanzania probably more than I have. I have understood Tanzania only for 10 years. But one of the things that I've noticed over that period is the growth that we have right now in Tanzania. Yeah? Recently, there was a debate that started happening in Kenya, where they were saying based on the way taxes are going there and all that, we're losing a lot of our business to Tanzania. I always laugh because it's not a rumor. Right now, Tanzania's GDP as we speak is attracting quite a lot more Kenyans even, or Kenyan-owned businesses into Tanzania, which is a good thing for the economy there, but also poses another problem, which is what I was talking about. I came across this article just the other day. We're discussing it with our CEO,
And it says urbanization is now occurring faster and on a larger scale in Africa than anywhere else in human history. And it mentions 3 cities which will very soon become some of the largest cities in the world. And that's Lagos in Nigeria, Dar es Salaam in Tanzania, and Kinshasa in the DRC, housing more than 60 million people. To me, when I see this, I just see nothing but opportunity, since I'm in real estate. Yeah? But I can tell you even further studies at the moment have shown that currently our biggest cities are more towards the east. You know, we have New Delhi, you have Tokyo, Shanghai. This is some of the big cities right now in the world. But it is actually estimating by 2100 that the biggest cities in the world will be in Africa, and mostly those 3 cities in particular. And I think for me, that just shows where we need to actually invest. If you're investing in America, sorry to say, you're getting it wrong. This is where our money should be. We should make it here and bring it back home. And just to maybe tell you all how that is happening, I have right now a team of 4 individuals from my team that are currently in Europe. They are visiting, Lucy, nobody kumbushe, I think they were going to Munich?
Yeah, Italy, France.
I know Paris as well. There were 4 cities, yeah. So I have four of my team in those 4 cities. We were invited right now. It was an invitation, something about tourism and all that, and we were asked to actually join in because we're one of the biggest developments in Tanzania, more or less, yeah. And the first event in Munich, you know how many individuals went there? 50. Guess how many were Tanzanian? Almost none. Most of them were Germans. And it's a very interesting shift because literally the Western world is looking at Africa, but we are not looking at Africa, which is, I don't know, sad to say, but I'm just saying these are the numbers that right now, this is where business is, and this is where we need to be looking into. I don't want to touch into the, right now, I know you're all familiar with more or less some of the numbers that are going on in Tanzania. Those who own homes in Dar es Salaam, I wish I was Tanzanian, I wish I owned a home in Dar es Salaam. Yeah, especially somewhere, Kinondoni, huko, like those are prime properties if I just look at it. Yeah, and this just neighboring to us. So and we know we are receiving a lot of this traffic, but Tanzania has been experiencing some nice returns. I want to give you a real life scenario. Our first clients, and I'm telling you, sad to say, our first clients are Omanis. They were the biggest number. They overwhelmed us. I remember when we started the project, we launched it in Zanzibar. We had quite some Zanzibar, you know, because it was a nice new hip thing. So we had a huge turnout. The open day, I was dead for 2 days after that open day. And then it went quiet. Then somehow we were invited to Oman. And we only sent 2 people because we did not anticipate what was going to happen. And we were literally overwhelmed by the number of reservations from Omanis. Maybe you could say it's because of their purchasing power, put it that way. But I think for them it's because of the love that they have for Zanzibar as well. But that love has turned into gains. Because our first clients, we were selling a townhouse, a 2-bedroom townhouse, $45,000. I'm also responsible for the resale activities that are going on within the development. And I can tell you, we have had multiple clients who bought, like, let's say 2-3 houses and selling a 2-bedroom townhouse that was going for $45,000 at $120,000. That is literally within a span of roughly about 6 or so years, a return of more than 260%. This is an anomaly. But it's an anomaly that has happened again 3 years later. Because we developed this property roughly about, I think it was about just before COVID is when we developed this property. They're called the Fumba Horizons. Again, and the irony, we went back to all the clients who had bought and we told them, do you want to buy this unique property on the ocean front for $195,000? A few of them did, others didn't. And I can tell you, we had a client who had bought one of these units. He has multiple units. He's just sold it for $425,000. These are the returns that people so far gain. Now, as I say, this could be an anomaly because you could say that was 4 years ago. But you might maybe now remember this is currently our prices. And we don't want to say again 4 years from now, those people gained from those returns. So we currently have, unfortunately, some of these units are almost selling out. Like the Mwangani apartments, we're just selling off the last ones. These are units that have sold exceptionally well. I am proud to say I'm an owner of one of these units. Na nimenunua kama mteja, sijanunua kama mfanyakazi wa CPS. Yeah? Townhouses, these ones are sold out more or less. We have, I think, the last 2-3 that came back into the market. The Cheche apartments was a product, or Zanzibari Cheche, was a product we actually developed, and we had some insights into how the Zanzibari way of life is. For example, unaduka pale chini. Like, we always had these things that Zanzibaris kept telling us, natujengea mji, maduka yako mbali. So some of the things we put into thought for the Zanzibaris. So that's even why we branded it as a Zanzibari product with Cheche. We have the Vizazi homes. This is our first cross-laminated timber, full CLT unit. Personally, I wish I owned one of these units. When you enter into these houses, one of the journeys that we're taking on is to actually build in timber. I can tell you all, after the journey that even I never used to believe in timber, but I've seen the impact that we've been having by building in timber. Zanzibar is a tropical island. Watu wa kale walikuwa wanajenga na coral and lime. Coral and lime is porous, so technically it breathes. Right now we're building in concrete in Zanzibar. I kid you not, we are building ovens literally on the island, and this is increasing our power consumption. Sitasema kwamba kuna mgao, kuna issues nyumbani. Zanzibar, actually, for quite a long time, we've not had issues with power. The day before yesterday, we started. There's some technical issues somewhere. But this will help us reduce our footprint with regards to power consumption within the island, because wood, one of the things people don't realize about wood is a very poor conductor of heat. And so we are able to actually maintain those nice temperatures within the unit. But on top of that, there's a whole industry we're building that will create sustainability within Tanzania with wood construction. Now, this is not, we're not talking about even the way you build houses here in US. Your wood, I think you do timber frames. We have timber frames, we did timber frames within the townhouses. Some of them are timber frames, yeah? This is the next level, because this is engineered mass timber. Yeah? So it's technically like building a brick at the end of it, yeah? Because it's solid. But the irony of the way we live as Africans is we build in concrete, and then we start filling up the house with wood. So this you don't need to, because we're exposing it, and now we're just doing the finishes on the first units. We're gonna put them up. The first ones are sold out. The Vizazi homes that we have right now, the Vizazi Oasis. So some of our products which have done really well, we've rebranded them. We've taken the insights from clients and actually brought them back into the market. Our Bustani villas are very big favorite, especially for Tanzania. Most of them always inquire fast about that unit. I think we're all used to just staying in big houses. So a lot of people have expressed a lot of interest. We just sold out on, I think 3 bedrooms. We just added a few more based on availability, and we have like 2 5-bedrooms left. Then we have the Vizazi homes. This is a mix of the townhouse and the Vizazi homes in terms of the construction. Just maybe something special I have for you all today, and I hope we can hear this. The first condominium project in Zanzibar is born, the Soul Pageant.
a dream come true. Built with cutting-edge timber technology.
That's how we do it.
Healthy future. Owning a holiday home in Zanzibar had never been easier. And the first phase of
So the first handovers that we had within the development, we had fun this day with clients. Because
landmark for Zanzibar and the entire region. And now we are writing the next chapter.
earlier this year, we decided, since the soul did so well, we decided to have a bit of fun. Just a bit.
An awesome location with an awesome community, awesome sunsets, awesome views, awesome all around.
We brought the soul to Fumba. Why? We decided, a lot of clients kept on asking us, when we designed Fumba Town, when we designed the houses within Fumba Town, they were not intended for short-term stay, but constant. That's all clients are asking us. Hivi mnapangisha kwa, naweza nikaingia kwa biashara ya Airbnb? That's most of the questions that a lot of people ask us. But nyumba zetu hazijajengwa for short-term stay. Reason being, we were thinking about those property from the perspective of residential use. And that is what we want to encourage. But then we decided, why not bring, Kingia Stone Town, yeah, the hotels, why not bring the resort into the development? So it's now bringing in also that business and bringing it within the town. Because at some point, and very soon, there will be a lot of short-term demand also within the development. Already this exists. We personally do not offer solutions for short-term stay. So I remember I said we have end-to-end services whereby once you purchase with us, if you, for example, want us to help you source a client for rental, we only do long-term stay, which is 1 month and above. That is our business. Because we understand, and that's what we've set up a whole company. We have the company which more or less handles that. And the sole reason as to why we're doing long-term stays, because we know once this town we deliver what we intend to do, we cannot manage short-term stay. We are honest. Yeah? However, we already have, like for example, we have 2 contractors who every time a client tells us about short-term stay, because we trust them, we deliver to them. And they have set up, like one of them, Raquel, she has set up a whole business around that. Some of the beautiful properties we have within the development are under her management. And we are constantly fighting to get those units for our clients. You know, when you visit us, you're like, nataka siku mbili tatu. We're always trying to find those accommodations. Like yesterday, I just helped, the day before yesterday, some clients who came in for 3 days, so something like that, yeah? So we understand that we won't be able to do that. So that's why we brought the soul to Fumba. But also with the soul, we did something extra. For the longest, our payment plans were always roughly based on construction. And when we have a good pace in construction, it takes roughly 24 to 36 months. In fact, mikataba yetu, for the rest of the developments except, for the rest of the units except Soul Fumba, our penalty clause inaanza after 36 months. Because we intend to deliver the units within 36 months. However, the Soul is the first project where because a lot of, we notice a lot of clients constantly asking us, I still want to own a property, but I cannot pay because those lump sums are too big within 2 to 3 years. So we have now modeled a monthly payment plan but only right now for the Soul, Fumba, to be able to allow clients to pay even up till 60 months. It looked like a few more months, like it's a lot to us just to get to that point without having to go through a mortgage with 0 interest. So this has been one of the things we've been working on for years, and we're so glad that we finally found a model that worked for it. Unfortunately, for now, it's only within Soul Fumba, but we will hopefully also push it onto other units. I mentioned the Vizazi homes are more or less sold out, but now we've modeled the Vizazi slightly different, but now we have them on the ocean front. So those clients have been asking, I want something on the ocean front. We value that ocean heavily, but we cannot all be at the ocean front. But we managed to put a few of them on the ocean front. We still have like few, I think 3, 4 still available. And you can also go through that with a monthly payment plan. And also the Moyoni homes, which were a huge seller. I personally regret not buying one of these units. And generally, we've now redesigned it. Now, just maybe to brush through, I remember when I mentioned that we've also been very ahead of our time with regards to some of the technology we're bringing in. And so we recently now, this is a project that right now has given us more global recognition than the rest of the project. And that is the Bush Zanzibar. The Bush Zanzibar has, right now, I think we were invited to, I think that was Portland earlier this year, to present about the project. It will be the tallest timber tower in the world. At generally, Lucy, how many floors is it? I keep always confusing me. Yeah? 28, yes. Sorry, a lot of data in my head. So yeah, it's 28 floors of the cross-laminated timber, mass timber technology. This is a project that has been designed it could technically be dropped right in New York and it will pass all the ISO certification. Because most of the architects, the engineers behind for example, the fire and safety and all that, are all European and American engineers. People who've worked in the timber industry for decades. One of the developers that we're going to be partnering to develop this together is the biggest cross-laminated timber developer within Europe. And I think they also have a few projects here. And so currently the tallest timber tower in the world, and that would be the tower, is in the US. So this is always, currently there's, in the background, there's a fight for being the tallest. Yeah? So it was initially, I believe, the Hoho in Vienna, then it went to another building in Norway, I believe. And then now it shifted to the US. So US currently holds in Milwaukee, holds the tallest timber tower. And we are building in Zanzibar. A very big statement, turning it into the biggest and the tallest timber tower in the world. Prices are still affordable. Hizo ndo bei ambazo Waomani walikuwa wanaingia nazo. So these are entry prices before we start construction. We're starting sometime mid next year. We're more or less almost done with all the technical details, and we should be able to break ground beginning of next year. This, I'll tell you a story, a short one. When we were developing the product, at the very top, we have some beautiful penthouses, even with pools at the very top. I think you'll see them within the Bush brochure. 1 bedrooms and 2 bedrooms with pool. And I remember when we were doing the cost analysis for the development, I was like, it came down that we could only sell those units for one of them is $1 million, slightly below that. And I remember saying, I don't think my team will ever sell those units. Currently, as we speak, we only have 2 left. So it just begs to ask the question, there's so many people who've been able to actually see what we're doing. And for us, we just want to preach the gospel, I could put it that way, of what we've been doing. I'm so glad to be working personally for this development. I always feel like our work is cut out for us. The bigger part was with the people who came up with the development and the government for actually allowing us to do these beautiful projects within Zanzibar. Now, there's an area I forgot to actually just put there, and that was when I mentioned something about the economics behind the development. I didn't put the commercial part. And I just wanted to mention, so at the moment, we have an initiative that has started in Zanzibar. I think this was something we started having a discussion with the government roughly during COVID. Zanzibar, Tanzania, we didn't have COVID, luckily for us. So we still had tourism. but ilipungua. And I know people don't like to say it, but we lost a bit of our economy during that period, even there. We were touched by it. And we started having this discussion with the government of whereby in Zanzibar we have heavily relied on tourism as a bigger part of our economy. But we have so many other opportunities, and one landed right on our lap. And that is what has led to the development of something called Silicon Zanzibar. Silicon Zanzibar is right now an initiative between the private sector and the government to build a Silicon Valley of sorts within Zanzibar. Currently, as we speak, one of the biggest tech companies in Africa, which was based in Nairobi, just moved its operations to our development. That is Osoko, and the CEO called Daniel Wu. He has recognized the opportunity. Immediately the government mentioned it. He's moved his whole operations to Zanzibar. Of course, he has his reasons, but right now with Daniel Wu, somebody who has experienced in actually the Silicon Valley experience here in the US, we, together with Fumbatown and the Ministry of Investments in Zanzibar, we are developing this initiative. We've already more or less, I think, attracted more than 100 companies which have already shown interest to actually set up base. We unfortunately cannot. So right now, what we are discussing with the government is about the infrastructure that is needed to actually be set up so that it can actually be able to house all these companies. At the moment, I think they're testing it out with 30 companies. So we already have 30 companies that have already been highlighted to actually be set up within Fumbatown. That is opportunity. One opportunity. Second, commercial opportunity. This then suddenly attracted the interest of an MIT university in India, one of the biggest in India. Actually, in comparison to also very close to what we have here in the US. They are now currently in discussion with the government of Zanzibar about setting up an institution within Fumbatown. So they're right now talking about what it takes and all that. So they're still at a very early stage, but this is what the opportunities are seeing. And then on top of that, again this year, I think this year has been our year. We now had the founder of the African School of Economics. He visited us and he actually informed us his plan that he had always wanted to set up an institution, a campus within Zanzibar. For some, I think within East Africa he always wanted, but somehow he had already modeled a plan for Zanzibar. And so now he's also in discussion with the Ministry of Finance and Investments, and also with the Ministry of Education to set up a campus. He wants to run. He does not want to come in as you build and all that. He, in fact, I remember this statement he said to our boss, and he said he wants to focus most of the money he wants to invest in the faculty rather than the buildings. That is how ready he is. And again, I know personally if they set up, I'm gonna be their first economics student, because I haven't still done my master's in economics. Yeah? And I'm telling you, this is an opportunity. All these spaces, I'm already seeing all the studios that are already sold out, all the one bedrooms. These are spaces that are soon gonna be taken up. When Wasoko moved in, I remember it was the first time when we had suddenly 60, we had to look for 60 apartments for the whole team moving in one go. Yeah, and these are all opportunities coming in. There's more coming in. I know we've already seen a conference facility being set up close to us. We can't house everything. We've now had a school. We initially had all these plans to put all these things in there, to put in a school, to put in a conference facility. But now, right next to us, we no longer have to put up a school because we have a school that is offering GCE. It was built in no time. It's already been set up right next to us. So all this but it's the intention of the government to move town in that direction. That's why for them, anybody comes to them with that they're looking into a license to build something big, commercial related, that's the area where they're actually recommending to them. And last but not least, yesterday, Lucy? I think I shared with you the news yesterday. Huh? We won, I could actually put it up. Sorry, some of these things really came so abrupt, but I just wanted to share with you all the news. Yesterday, we were the proud winners of the African Property Award winners that was held in Dubai. We won not just one, of course the Tanzanian one was the easy one, but we also won the one for Tanzania within the region. But we won for the region and for Tanzania. The world is looking at us. The world is recognizing a bit of what we're doing. I think it is time for us to also invest back home. Thank you. I don't know if anybody has any questions. Sorry, I can go on and on and on and on and on. Munisamehed. Yes.
Kevin, the first question I think is going to be on the legal front.
Sorry. I think we'll hear you.
Yeah, no, you can hear me. So the first question that I have for you is on the legal front, right?
Yes.
I know you talked about the Condominium Act and all this stuff, but we all know, obviously all of us in this room probably are from Tanzania, but some for family reasons or for political reasons, for economic reasons, have kind of probably acquired a different immigration status.
Yes.
Right? So knowing very well that there is some sort of instability in our environment, we have to be honest.
Yes.
That political and legal environment changes. How are we sure that if I invest in Tanzania and probably am now American citizen, that my investment will be protected from a legal and political standpoint?
It's good that you asked that question, because it's the first question we ask ourselves before we put any money there ourselves. Our company is more or less, I think the board, our main board, the directors, they're all foreigners. And most of us who are also directors within the company, most of us, we have Tanzanians, but also majority are. And the first question we asked ourselves was, how safe is whatever we want to do here? We're not from here. We've heard of more or less the immigration status, not having dual and all that. And so that was the first question we asked the government: how do we protect the investments and even the people that are going to be investing here? And the government, fortunately for us, listened to us. And for years, we've been singing. Zanzibar is given with property investments within Fumba town. Property, any investment above $100,000, they're giving residency. We've sung that for years, because when it was promised to us, it was also put on paper. I think they officially amended what we call the ZIP Act, which is Zanzibar Investments Protections Promotion Act, to bring in that factor. That now property above $100,000, you'll be getting a residency. But you all know how Africa also works.
Yeah.
You put it on paper, before it's implemented, it's another thing. It has taken us years, but mostly because immigration is a union issue. It's not really a Zanzibari. Zanzibar can't just wake up and even when they made that decision, they didn't just do it themselves. They did consult with mainland Tanzania. I think some of the challenges they faced was the fact that whatever would be done there in Zanzibar would have to also apply in Tanzania mainland. And so it took a long while, but I am grateful to say, as we speak right now, this has been enforced. If you do not believe me, engage a lawyer right now in Tanzania. For any investments, it is now, I think right now what they're going through is a process, more or less, but they have more or less finalized on that. That is final. It was debated for so long. It's gone from this department to that department to here to there. But finally, any property above $100,000, you can take my word, is actually now, that individual is legible for residency. Now, the reason why all our projects, we always seek to register them under ZIPA is because ZIPA is the institution that is behind protecting all the investments that are coming into the island of Zanzibar. All the hotels right now, if it's foreign owned, has to be under ZIPA. Any company, the biggest things that His Excellency Dr. Mwinyi did when he came into power was the first thing was to even empower ZIPA more, because he wants to attract businesses to the island, Tanzanian and foreign alike, because it is the way to grow Zanzibar to the next level. So all this is protected, and that is why the government is issuing a title for that. I remember when we issued the first titles in Fumba, this was always a very interesting debate. So we sent an invitation over to the government, because this was also a government initiative, informing them that we have the first houses being completed. We're actually inviting those first clients to come and have their handover. We thought it was also for us with inexperience with how government works. We thought just by sending that out, they'll just assign somebody and come over and on. And I think that's what they initially did. They assigned somebody to come. I think it was the first vice president. He was supposed to come and honor us in that event and hand over the first titles. And I think somebody went to the president and said, do you know what that means? That document that is being issued, it is the first time that a foreigner is being issued a property title, residential property title. And the president was like, hey, hold up. I need to be at that event. Unfortunately, the dates we had planned coincided with him being out of the country, so we had to move the event and have a big significance to the person that I'm giving. And so I have an image of that somewhere, and I could always share with you. But the first property that the president, the previous president, handed over was to a Tanzanian relocated to Britain. His wife was from Egypt. And they used to come to Zanzibar. They even, I think they own through a home with family back in Zanzibar. They would come to Zanzibar every year. They still do that. And so he said he wanted to give the title to somebody who it will have a very heavy meaning to. And that was the best couple we could pick at that time. So I think the initiative that the government has already shown us is that they're behind this. We have never consulted them. I think we probably spend more time within the government offices than we do in any other office, especially the ZIPA office, is to ensure that everything we do, it has the backing of the government. And the government has backed us so much that in our contract, the purchase and sales agreement, it doesn't necessarily need to have the signature from government, but the government insisted we want to ensure that we give more trust to our investors. And so when the project signs and you sign, the Zanzibar Investments Promotions Authority Executive Director also signs within that contract. I don't know if we could give them any more, I could give you any more with regards to that. But trust the process. I put my money there. That was the first thing I always ask myself. I put my money there because I've seen the support we've gotten. I've personally, I hate to say this, but in Kenya, I've never seen that kind of support that we could actually, as a developer, be able to sit down with the president, actually talk about some of the issues we're facing, and even ask us as real estate, what are some of the issues where you're having? Where are the challenges you have? And we've started seeing all these challenges being addressed, one after another. We know a lot will also take time, and we're patient, but we've seen that. We've gotten connection to the roads now. We're getting more infrastructure coming in there. We're seeing more businesses being attracted there. So all this is actually coming in protection of your investments.
Yeah, I think that's a good answer. Yeah. So
sorry, it was a long one. I don't know how to answer anything short. Yes. Maybe I could go in with
All right. So my question is, thank you very much for clarification too, what you just said. So I just want to kind of curious, right? And since your project, the projects you're doing, they also attract most foreigners, meaning people who are not Tanzanians per se. They're also allowed to purchase, right?
Yes.
Which majority of them have a very high purchasing power compared to the normal Zanzibari, right? So what is your experience as far as what the local Tanzanians say, and Zanzibarian especially, with all these project affordability, and what do they, initially you spoke about, for example, environment. You keep the environment to
Yes.
make sure it's kind of, the citizen or from Zanzibarian, they benefit from it. But that's just the beginning of it. What is beyond, after everything is said and done, now the projects are done, every place in Zanzibar is already built. These units that are being built, in the long term, what is the advantage for Zanzibarian who may not afford to buy the properties that are currently being built? And maybe 90% of them, 95 may be owned by foreigners. What do you guys say about those kind of things?
I like that you asked that,
Yeah.
because when I started the presentation, there's a reason that's why we always explain who we are. A lot, I mentioned as we started, a lot of what we're doing starts from the heart. And I can tell you, I don't know personally, I've never worked for any entity that has thought so much about the local community like CPS. Because from the beginning, when we started off, of course, we're a private run entity. So we also have to look at the business dynamics of it. But from the very beginning, our intention was always to create a circular economy. By a circular economy, I mean, first of all, we informed the Zanzibaris of what we're doing. Yeah, if you could call them the locals or the Tanzanians who are living in Zanzibar. Almost every product we launch, we always launch it more or less in Zanzibar. I think it's only one product which we didn't launch in Zanzibar, but most of all the products we launched them in Zanzibar. The Cheche, for example, was an initiative that, it was a challenge that our CEO gave me and my previous predecessor, his name was Said from mainland Tanzania. And I remember when we started the project, myself and Sebastian used to ask us one question. I want to see more and more and more Tanzanians buying. And when we had that shift, especially with the Omanis buying at the very initial stage, and followed closely to that were actually the Kenyans. He kept challenging us. I want to see more clients who are Tanzanian, more clients who are Zanzibari purchasing the development. So always, what we always had in mind is we need to have that in mind. We kept doing research, we still do. When we developed the Cheche apartments, this was all thoughts from, what Zanzibaris were telling us. I want this space to look like this, like that, and we're always looking into that, of course, also with the financial, the finances in mind of how expensive it would be. So for example, the Cheche apartments and a lot of our also other units are modeled around that. Maybe something like the Burj is probably what has been modeled to have that, especially that out of Africa kind of feel and vibe. But so a lot of what we've done, we always have them in mind. We'll always still continue to market to them. That is why when we came for this journey, myself and Lucy, to the US, we did not target any other community other than the diaspora. We're only just looking out for where the diaspora is, because you are also part of us. Please do never remove yourself from the equation. You are Tanzanian. You might have a different passport from what you originally had, but you're Tanzanian. And so we understand that, for example, as I mentioned, if you invest, you might not be living there permanently, but maybe your father moves there in his retirement. Baba pale nataka ahamie Fumba pia. Unaona anapajua. Kama hajatuambia labda ana nyumba pale. So we generally always have the Zanzibaris and the Tanzanians in heart when we're looking into all the developments of the units. And further to that, they are more or less, we have fought day and night. Even today morning, one of the first messages I woke up to was my co-director telling our team, is there any other client who is on the mortgage list which bado mortgage yake haijapitishwa? Because right now, we have more than 4 or 5 banks which are offering mortgages to Zanzibaris. They were the first ones we went for, with the People's Bank of Zanzibar, but also to Tanzanians. With Azania, CRDB, ABSA, NMB. Yeah? Those are the 5 banks that we are working with. They are only giving mortgages to Tanzania. But further to that, very recently, you also are eligible for a mortgage with the banks. I think BOT just recently amended a few of their processes. So also Tanzanians right now who have foreign passports are actually eligible for mortgages. So that is even something you should heavily take advantage of. So all these steps for us are always processes as to why we are still focused on the locals. The bigger part of my team ni wa Tanzania, wapo Tanzania. We have an office our headquarters in Kumba, of course. We have an office in Masaki, we have an office in Oyster Bay, just to continue, and I'm even looking into an office in Limani City to even go closer and closer and closer to the locals as possible. We had an office in Stone Town. Unfortunately, we had some issues with regards to the space we had rented, but we will not continue to assist them with mortgages, with these financing plans that we have. But unfortunately, you know, also we are a business, so we cannot wait for you. Mkichelewa, poleni. Lakini please catch up with us. Lucy wants to add something?
Naomba niongeze kitu hapo kwenye swali lako nzuri sana Abdalla. Tunapoangalia nini loko tunafaidika, uwaga tunaangalia jambo moja tu ambalo ni mtu kununua nyumba. Hatuangalii 360, umenifahamu? So Sebastian wakati anaanza project alikaa chini ya mti, kuna mti pale Zanzibar, baba atakuwa anaujua. Alikaa na sheikhs, kawaambia kuna project inakuja, itakuwa hivi, itakuwa hivi, itakuwa hivi. Watu hawaji kuchukua your land, wanakuja kuongeza thamani ya hili eneo, and that's what we are seeing is happening. Mtu hajanunua Fumba Town, ana kiwanja chake pale nje ya Fumba Town, kilikuwa kinauzwa labda shilingi 4,000, sasa hivi labda ni shilingi 20,000 kwa sijui kwa square meter. Imeongeza thamani ya lile eneo. Ukiangalia watu wanaoajiriwa Fumba Town, I think Tanzania nzima project yetu sisi ndio project ambayo ukija unakutana na watu weusi tu. Umenifahamu? Yaani wasijui wajengaji, sijui wakina nani, wafanyakazi, everybody is just Tanzanian. Kwa hiyo tusiangalie tu kwamba je, wanaweza kununua, ambao hawajanunua. Kuna wengine pia wamefaidika kwa sababu mradi uko pale. Wanaochukuliwa kuja kufanya kazi, kampuni yetu sisi inaongea na sheikhs, wanasema sasa hivi labda tunataka wafanyakazi wenye qualification hizi. Sasa hivi tunachukua nyumba hii, sasa hivi tunachukua nyumba hii, ili kuwe kuna ile usawa. Kwa hiyo ukiangalia pale sisi tumezungukwa na community ambayo imefaidika na mradi kuwa pale, including kutengeneza jobs. Sisi ni kama alivyosema Kevin, ni urban developer, na katika mji wetu sisi we care about the environment. Kwa hiyo tunatumiaga hizo nitaga principles za permaculture principles to kutengeneza our landscape we want to imitate the forest. Kwa hiyo wanachukuliwaga watu out of school from 16 to 35, wanapelekwa shule, wanafundishwa what it means to have a job, how to make soil, sijui how to make organic pesticides. Wanafundishwa huko shule, the best wanakuja kupata ajira Fumba Town. Na kuna watu wanakuja kutembelea Fumba, wanasema jamani tunapenda hivi inavyoonekana na nini na nini. What we tell them is chukua huyu hapa, kashafundishwa, anajua how to do this, kamwajiri. So the project itself, hata kama mtu hajanunua, there's a lot of ajira zimetengenezwa kwa sababu ya hiyo project. Na hiyo ndio tuseme ndio kitu mama cha CPS, kutengeneza communities. Hata kama mtu hajanunua, kuna wengi sana ambao hawajanunua wamefaidika. The whole area right there, if you fly through Fumba Town, you'd see biashara zimekuwa nyingi. You'd see watu wanajenga nyumba zingine nje, kwa sababu sio kila mtu anaweza kupanga Fumba Town. Kuna mtu ambaye labda ni mjenzi, anaweza kapanga nje Fumba Town. Kwa hiyo watu wa pale pia wamefaidika sana kutokana na mradi huu. Asante.
Maybe just before you ask your question, there's also something, it's good that you mentioned that because I had completely forgotten. One of the things we've been working on heavily is ensuring that the money, I think that's the one big thing a lot of people don't see, the money that anyone that is investing within Fumba, we have worked heavy to ensure it remains within Tanzania. It's not completely possible, because we understand some of the things that we're getting we have to import, but we have tried as best as possible. And that is why, for example, for us, the journey with wood started with that. We are right now in discussion with the government about setting up a full wood industry. So wanted to become a circular economy. You come, you take your mortgage then goes into the facilities that we want to build to process what we call mass timber. Not just for Tanzania, but for East Africa. That's our plan. We already have companies in Kenya which are waiting for us to set this up, so they don't have to buy cross-laminated timber from Europe mostly. And then all this, the employees, all that, we want it to be a circular economy. So nataka ile ibaki pale pale, so that it can actually help more or less. It grows with that. And at some point we know, for example, and that's even why with the project, we are not building villas. It would have been the easiest thing to generate villas, high-end luxury resort, done. That's what hotels are doing in Zanzibar. How many Zanzibaris have been to the hotels? Some of the most beautiful hotels I've ever seen in the world, actually in Zanzibar. A lot of the locals don't know about them. But for us, we have always wanted to have that inclusivity. So we have, for example, studios. And for us, we always do this journey. You can always start with buying a studio. Maybe I don't have a family. Then when I have a family, I can take on maybe a 1-bedroom. And when my family grows, I have a 2-bedroom. I can literally rent within the development without ever having to leave. So it's a circular kind of space. But we could always discuss that a bit more, maybe, even in detail. Yes, sir.
Yes.
Alikuwa na swali alafu baba anakuja kwako. Asante. Yes.
Asante. So I have a couple questions and I'll make it quick. Number one.
Thank you. So.
Turn it off.
Okay. I think you can hear me. My voice is loud, so all right. So my first question is about the services available for these projects. What are the services? Because you haven't really touched anything about schools, about hospital, grocery store, supermarket, the accessibility of those services. Because you don't want to be living somewhere and there's any services available. That's number one. And number two, I also want to know about the maintenance. I think you did touch a little bit about maintenance. Like when you buy these apartments or houses from you, do you guys provide those maintenance services like trash, picking up the trash if something broke in the house? Do you have access to like a plumber or anything like that? And my last question is about the building process. How long does it take it? I know that in the U.S., for instance, right now, building a new house can take 6 to 9 months because of shortage in raw material. So how is it realistic that all the materials are available in Tanzania, or do you have to import from somewhere? And how long does it take for, to build the one houses? And is there an option to do a custom design for people who have, special needs and disabilities? That's all I wanted to know.
Okay. Actually, really valid questions. True, I did not touch on that. I was trying to look for some images. This is just on your first question. This is our first commercial space we did. It's called the Pavilion. Within the Pavilion, we have most of the services you mentioned. We have a supermarket. Actually, the 3 spaces took up more space than we could imagine. One was a supermarket. We initially wanted to bring in a foreign supermarket, and then we thought, let's work with the locals. You know, we cannot just dismiss them. And so we have, yes, Zanfresh. Zanfresh is a locally owned supermarket. The guy has been expanding really well. So he has now one in Paje. He has one in town, in Bweni, in town, and I think in Paje now this was his 4th location. So you can see already, even like somehow he's like following us. He's also seeing where the opportunities are. And so he's set up there. We have a supermarket there. It's not it's the first, but not the last. Yeah. We have this whole area is a clinic that is attracting people from even out of Fumba town. That is the urban clinic owned by Dr. Jenny. She's a German doctor who has lived in Zanzibar for very long. She has Zanzibari children. And she's set up now, it started off as a very small clinic. Now it's expanded to actually an inpatient facility with gynecology services, with dentistry as well. And she's hoping to expand more. Actually, what is now limiting her is the space. She has, I think, 4 or 5 inpatient facilities. She's also soon setting up a surgery space as well. She's expanded to also Paje as the East Coast as well. She also has a small clinic there. Again, probably not the last. But I know with her especially, she's had a lot of offers to actually, in fact, we're the ones who are limiting them. Because when we built this, when we designed this first commercial space, we actually thought it would be enough for the first phase. Right now, we're actually looking into another space over here. We want to build more commercial spaces because the whole building is full, completely full. I think it was Steve who was actually asking me, do you still have a space within that building? We've had that question so many times. I don't even like to be involved about that because we have right now, I think, if I'm not mistaken, 4 restaurants. Yeah, 4 restaurants. We have 2-3 shops which sell clothes. We have also another guy who saw an opportunity and is selling mattresses. We also have another person who saw an opportunity and set up a laundry service. We have a butchery. Okay, not a butchery per se, but they sell meat, frozen meat, unfortunately. And of course, why is it spirits? And a furniture shop. Yeah. So we have these facilities coming in. The school, that's what I mentioned. And this is the irony. One of the key things we kept saying, lazima tujenge shule, lazima tujenge shule, lazima. And we started even, I think it was Silverleaf, which came in and set up immediately a kindergarten with us. And we were like, we need to start building a school soon because we right now have more than 500 people living here and a lot of kids. But as I said, right next to us, I don't know if, I wish I could look for that picture, which just shows in the background a school being built up. We didn't even notice how quick those people set up. But they went to I think they also saw opportunity, they went to the government, so this is not within our land, it's right next to us. And I remember when it started being built, everybody was asking, what is being built here? And within a year, they had built a facility. The school is full. They're offering GCE systems. We're hoping to also still have another school within the development. But if other people see the opportunity and set them out, then we don't need to focus on that. We need to focus maybe on what we know most. So we have facilities coming in. We already have the first ones. We have, I think now 6-7 restaurants already. Kwetu Chill is one of the popular restaurants right now on the island. It's, again, came from an idea from a client. It was like, we have all this beachfront, but we have nothing on the ocean front, which is a bar and restaurant. So we set up a space, actually intending to target the people staying there. Now it's not, I go there, I barely know people there. Yeah. So that was the first question. The second one was mostly about the services.
Well, the first was services. The second was about the project. How long does it take? And if there's a need for an option for a custom design for people.
Oh yes. So in terms of how long the project will take, well, right now for us, construction-wise, it's actually good you asked that because it's one of the biggest challenges we have. We're building on an island. We barely have any construction material on the island. Unfortunately, we are importing a lot from either mainland, Bongo, or from Europe, and also Dubai. During COVID especially is when it hit us because, and I think the journey that we took now made more sense. a lot of things we could get from, like steel we get from India. Barely could we access it. The island has issues with the construction center and all that. And that is why for us, when we discuss about affordable housing, I will tell you this, I'm passionate about affordable housing. It's something that I still want to work with the government of Kenya about. One of the biggest problems governments make, or mistakes, is that they approach affordable housing from the price perspective, mteja atanunua hela ngapi, but I think they should approach it from a different perspective, which is what is being used to build the units. If it's not coming from Africa, it will never be affordable. And so that's why for us, we want to build that wood economy, because first of all, it's fast. Speed helps us with the price also, because if we build in a shorter time, we can actually be able not to be affected heavily by inflation. But also, if the wood is coming from Tanzania, it makes it way cheaper for us. So right now, we might not be able to achieve that. And right now, we might be facing all the challenges of meli ilichelewa and all this, that company, we are in a waiting list right now. Like we ordered CLT from South Africa because the one from Europe, we had a long waiting list. So we ordered the whole building in South Africa. Again, we also had to wait, so we do face that. But roughly for us right now, we have a lag time of between 24 to 36 months. If it's one, like a villa, we can do it in 24 months. But also for us, we kidogo stretch that construction period to 36 months. One of the reasons is because to actually assist clients. Because the challenge we've also had, and we've always offered this, if you're willing to pay faster, we actually can prioritize it, especially on the units that are individual. Maybe not in an apartment building. But then we always see everybody wants to pay kidogo kidogo. And so also we have to somehow factor that into our construction time frame. So we roughly take between 24 to 36 months. We've improved on that very heavily. After COVID, we had some time when we had an issue, construction sun, but the government right now is really helping us with that. And your last question, sorry.
Custom design.
Yes, custom design. So we have an area south of the development that we've set aside because clients kept asking us, I want to change my unit, I want to change this, that. And at times I've had a client who completely changed their house. And I know right now our construction team hates me because somehow we got it approved. But what we decided to do, because it's very hard for us, like for example, to keep the apartment price, let's say the way it is, we have to work on economies of scale. So to work on economies of scale, we have to keep it the same. Otherwise, nama contractor wetu pia, pasua kichwa kidogo. Kwa sababu, if you do not follow up, like if you have in a whole apartment building, just one unit with changes, I can assure you, itafanya vile vile, just like all the rest, unless you personally follow up, oh, this one had this change, this one had this change, which is a lot of work. So we're trying to avoid that. We allow it to some extent, if it is not a very heavy change, but we assigned an area whereby you can actually buy the rights to build your own property. So you, the way the process is, ukishachukua eneo, unatupa like your drawings, you give us your drawings, we get them approved by Zipa. We always do that with Zipa. Ramani yake hii hapa, this is how long they intend to build, this is what they want to build, like here, and this is their plot. We have parameters like distance to the fence, and all that, and height, also restrictions. Yeah, like for example, there we have, I think, 2.5 floors height restriction. You give us a plan with that, you buy that land, jenga. And we give you a serviced plot. So tunakuletea mpaka maji pale, we bring the sewer system pale, we bring the electrical pale, and then now you build within that. So you can do that, yes. Maybe before you, Baba had a question.
Nilikuwa nataka kujua kama kuna relationship yoyote baina ya Fumba Town na Bahresa Fumba Town. Kuna relationship yoyote kati ya mawili?
Kibiashara? No. In terms of like, these are completely two separate entities. Ila kikazi tupo pamoja, because some of the things we've been fighting for to get within the area, we did not fight for them as CPS. We fought for them as eneo la Fumba, the free economic zone. So even when tukiingia vikao na serikali, we always go as that, because anything we get, they get. Anything they get, we get. So our goal is intertwined, and that is why, for example, kwa mfano kuna baadhi ya biashara pia vile vile tunajua wanajenga, and we also don't intend to also probably not have to deal with that. Ni eneo lote ni moja, so mwishowe eneo la Fumba kama free economic zone linatakiwe liwe. So kwa mfano barabara ambayo inatengenezwa inaanzia kwetu inaelekea kwao. That's a public road. Yeah? The infrastructure that we're doing has to be connected at some point. We might have maybe baadhi ya nyumba tunatofautiana. And vizuri kwa upande wetu sisi, we are very happy to see that he's building high end, because we don't have a lot of that. So it's mwisho itakuwepo ni mji mmoja, lakini as a company we are two separate entities. Lakini ila kibiashara tunafanya kazi pamoja. Na fikiri his nephew, the one who was formerly the I think managing director of the projects, Yafumba Uptown Living, we were very close, like extremely. Anytime we have an event, he comes. When they have an event, we go. When we're negotiating anything that is big, tunakaa chini pamoja, na vile vile tulivyoitwa kikao na mheshimiwa His Excellency, we went as eneo la Fumba. So kama Fumba Town na Fumba Uptown, ndio majina yetu pia yanafanana. So mwisho itakuwepo ni mji mmoja kikamili. Yes. Yes.
My question is, what's the process to get qualified for mortgage people in America?
I will want Lucy to answer that, because she deals with this on a day-to-day basis. The process to qualify for mortgage while you're here. I think you've been dealing with that.
Thank you for the question, Grace. So the first thing is you choose a house, you choose what you want to buy, and that process is super easy. You simply talk to me, or if you have an agent, you talk to your agent. You choose what house you want to buy. You send them a picture of your ID on WhatsApp or email. They will fill a reservation form for you. You fill that reservation form, you sign it.
So ID as in driver's license or passport?
Passport is better.
It shows where you're from.
Yes, it shows that you were born in Tanzania, even if it's not a Tanzanian passport. Okay? Yeah. So you send that to them, you send the reservation form, and then we connect you to a person from the bank. Now that is between you and the bank, because at the moment you're going to discuss your finances. The house that you've chosen, can you afford it? So they will look at your finances. They will ask for your bank statements. If you're a business, they will ask for that. Wanaangalia your income, expenses na vitu kama hivyo, and whatever you have to pay per month, if it can be taken from that. Kwa sababu whatever you get, your income, they can take only a maximum of 1/3 of that. Okay? So you're also going to discuss how long you want to pay for that mortgage. It can be from 1 year to 25 years. So to discuss the banker, I'm going to pay for 25 years or for 10 years. You're going to discuss the, what is it called?
Interest rate.
Interest rate. Thank you. You're going to discuss the interest rate. Hapo inategemeana if you yes, sisi ni Watanzania, so tunajua we talk. Tumeongea mpaka tumepata freedom. Hajapigana, we talk. Wakatupa freedom. Kila siku tuna discuss vitu. Yeah, so you can negotiate. You can say bwana, mimi unaniona mimi bwana, punguza kidogo bwana, hapa mimi siwezi, unajua mimi ni huko, mimi ni mwenzio, unajua mimi ni Grace, mchiwa ni ndugu yetu, sijui nini, stuff like that. So it works. So if you're earning in dollars, utapata mkopo in dollars. If you're earning in shilling, utapata mkopo in shilling. Mkopo kwa dola, interest rate inaanzia 8, 9.
It's close. Yes, 7 now.
Okay.
Yeah, I saw that the other day. I was like, yeah, I was like, it's 7 here, it's 8 back home. It's not so bad.
Oh yeah, Kenyans
Yeah.
are Yeah.
Yeah, Kenya is way high. And then on the T-shilling, interest rate inaanzia 14, wengine wanakuanzia 18, wanakuangalia kwamba huyu ataongea sana or not. But those are the things you're going to discuss, na most of the time I discuss wewe na banker. Bank itakuambia karatasi gani utume, na mostly it's about your income. Kama ni ya business utatuma za biashara, kama ni personal you're going to have to send your personal, utafungua na a bank account in that bank. Kwa sababu itabidi hela nazo nenda huko. Yes. After that, most banks you pay 10%. They will give you 90% of the money. Kwa hiyo ukishalipa 10% benki, the 90% sisi tunapewa, and then basi tunabaki tunakuupdate Grace kwamba boss sasa hivi nyumba yako imeweza kujengwa au imefika hapa like that. But the process is simple and straight.
So it's the down payment?
Down payment, yes, 10%. Yes. It's only one nani ndo inakupa 100%. One financial institution, lakini most banks, 90% they give you done.
While you're on that subject, unaweza ukatueleza kidogo kuhusu insurance, total loss insurance. Labda kuna tsunami, any natural disaster happen. How do you handle that stuff? Can you elaborate a little bit?
Yes.
You gotta talk about these things, right?
Sisi vijukuu vya mtume. Tunasemaga sijui inakuja kile tsunami, ndio tunasema tunaenda kabari tuione inavyokuja. Let's wait and see. Na haiji. So kama any other, I don't know how it works in the US, but in Fumba Town, the moment you get your house, you have to get insurance. And yes, it's mandatory, it's written in your contract, you have to do it. Kwa hiyo kuna makampuni mbalimbali, benki zote Tanzania zinatoa insurance. You can choose any that you want. We can also give you suggestions of companies to use. Again, tsunami. Watu wengi wanasemea tsunami. Tsunami Fumba Town haiwezi tokea maisha. Ever. Because of the location. Sisi sehemu tulipo tunaangaliana na Dar es Salaam. Ukanda ule. Kwa hiyo pale Wazanzibari wenyewe kina mama na wariziki wanapaita maji madogo pale. Maji ikiwa madogo pale, tsunami haiwezi kuform. It's not enough water to bring big waves ije kupiga kule. Ikiwa maji makubwa sawa. Lakini sisi na kuna mpaka studies zimekuwa zimefanyika. Hiyo naweza katuma kwa mtu anayotaka. Hiyo study imefanyika kabla hata hawajaanza kujenga Fumba nyumba Fumba, kwamba the moment sisi tunazama New York haipo. Yaani mtaanza kuzama nyinyi huku ambao sio vijukuu vya mtume. Sisi tunakuwa mwisho. Kwa hiyo hata kama ikitokea sijui global warming, maji yameshaanza kunini kule North Pole, itazama kwanza huku New York. Tukishasikia huku na siku tunaanza kuondoka zetu, lakini hiyo study it shows everything. Kwa hiyo ndio maana hata kwa hiyo studio huku itakuwa imesha hakuna kitu kwa jinsi eneo letu lilivyokaa.
Yes, mimi swali kwenye nani secondary market, right? So nimeona mna rental units.
Yes.
Right? So my experience here, you can rent a unit, and some units allow what they call arbitrage, right? Kwamba naweza I can rent it, furnish it, and re-rent it. Nyomongelea Airbnb and all this stuff, right? So, do you guys allow arbitrage?
So arbitrage.
Yani, now rent from you guys. Nimeona kuna units rent from I think $350 to whatever. Do you guys allow if I can come and rent and then furnish it and then re-rent it? Maybe on a short-term basis or long-term.
Perfect.
Yeah.
I understood the question. So here, we are developers. We should not forget that we are developers. Kwa hiyo wewe utaongea na mwenye nyumba. Let's say mwenye nyumba ni Grace. Kwa ninapomwona Grace sijui kama atakubali. Lakini you talk to Grace. You tell Grace nataka kurent nyumba yako. Grace hatajua unataka kufanya hiyo nyumba. Yeye anachotaka ni hela yake. So if you rent it long term, you pay Grace money, and then you stay in the house, you rent it again, unatumia kwa ajili ya mchepuko, Grace would not know.
Nauliza kwa sababu nimeona kwenye website yenu mna hizo rental units. That's why I'm asking you guys.
We only do long term.
Yeah, na sisi hatufanyi short term. Short term inafanyika na private companies.
Something I need to actually make clear, and I think it's a lot of people don't, maybe when they see the units on the website,
Yeah, that's what
think
I'm
of that. We, just like we always say, government should not be involved in business. We own 0 units.
Okay.
All the units on the website are clients who have come to us and contracted us to rent out their units. That's a whole different business. But sisi wenyewe, we do not want to compete with you.
Okay.
Yeah, so as I say, government should not do business.
Okay.
Kazi ni ya kwenu, sisi tushaulizia, sasa ndio mnarudi kwetu mnatuambia, I say na ile sehemu yangu nataka unisaidie.
For you, Kevin, if you want to know the answer to that question, obviously, come on, not contact information, but to be somebody on the property management side,
Yes.
will answer that question.
Yes.
I got you.
Quick question about financing. I know you touched about that. The project can take about 24 to 36 months. Wow.
Yes.
So my interest, is it due immediately after I sign a contract with the bank, or is there a grace period while the construction is going 24, 36 months? Are you guys, are they still charging me interest or no interest while during the construction?
Very good question. So the only interest that are charged is the interest rate ya benki. Okay? Yes.
So the bank will charge me interest even though you guys are doing construction?
Yes. So whatever amount you're taking, let's say unanunua nyumba ya $100,000, wakakwambia interest rate sijui 5%, and then the total comes to $150,000. Sisi we're gonna take $100,000. The other business is ya benki. Umenifahamu? So sisi benki itatulipa kutokana na construction milestones. Ukinunua nyumba, kwa mfano, kuna wateja wa aina mbalimbali. Kuna mteja anakuambia, Lucy, nataka nyumba ambayo itaisha baada ya miaka 2. Nijipange, nilipe kidogo kidogo. Kuna mwingine anakuambia mimi nataka nyumba inaisha baada ya miezi 6. Mwingine mwaka. Kwa hiyo inategemea unanunua nyumba iko katika stage gani. Ndio muda ambao utasubiria. Ukinunua nyumba ambayo inaisha mwaka huu mwezi wa 12, una miezi 2 ya kulipia hiyo nyumba. Ukinunua nyumba ambayo inaisha mwakani mwezi wa 12, una kama mwaka na miezi 2 ya kulipia hiyo nyumba. So the bank will pay us hivyo. Na ndio maana kuna watu wengine anakwambia mimi nachukua mkopo 50% kwa sababu anajua within this 1 year hiyo 50% anaweza kailipa mwenyewe kidogo kidogo, afu 50 inamlipia benki, na hapo atakuwa amepunguza kiasi cha interest. Umenifahamu? So it can work like that, lakini unalipa kwa installments kidogo kidogo kutokana na construction milestone. Inategemea nyumba tunayochagua iko stage gani. We are just, watu wanasemaga sijui nategemea hela zetu. We don't. Again, sisi ni vijukuu vya Mtume. Tunawekaga nyumba hivi, tunasema jamani, nyumba inaanza kujenga mwaka 2025, watu wanaanza kununua sasa hivi. Hatukatai. Kwa mara nyingi unakuta nyumba paka inaanza kujengwa, maybe half of it imeshanunuliwa. Sisi tuna program ambayo tunasema nyumba hii, jengo hili linaanza hapa, litaisha hapa. Tunalitangaza, wanaanza kununua. By the time inaanza kujengwa imeshaanza kununuliwa, na wengi wanapenda kununua kabla kwa sababu bei ni ndogo. Kishaanza kujengwa, the risk is lower, the price is higher, just like that. So it depends on the stage you're buying. Utalipa kidogo kidogo mpaka siku unapewa hiyo handover, ndio unamalizia ile ya mwisho.
Ngoja kidogo. Quick account. If you get right now a mortgage, I will work on getting you kwa hicho kipindi to cover for that period when there is construction. I'll work on getting you a discount. If the bank pays 100%, let me work on getting you a discount. Hata kama nitapata 5%, I will get you that, and then we balance that off. Itasaidia. But I can tell you one of the things that has happened is, I'll give you a practical scenario. I'll give you my story. I started buying my property, but I didn't buy with mortgage or anything. Nimenunua ile installments, like it was first installment, wameanza kujenga, second installment. I somehow managed that, yeah. And I have a 2-bedroom apartment. That's my first unit. I bought that unit in 2019. I not say I bought it. I started my payment plan in 2019. I got it for including taxes, 37,600, something like that. When I was handed over my property, similar unit was being sold at roughly $65,000.
Wow.
I always calculate, I've also gained. If I was even taking that on a mortgage, the appreciation that has been there, I've gained on that. So you have to look at it from different perspectives. However, what Lucy said is very true. Unfortunately for us, we are not post-construction selling. We are pre-construction selling. But what always happens is that by the time we're starting a building, on average, actually we've seen our rate is 67% occupancy rate. Initially, ndio tulikuwa tunajenga kulingana na tulivyouza. And it was utter chaos because huyu kanunua huku, yule kanunua huku, all different preferences. Huyu anataka kwa baharini, huyu hataki kwa baharini, anaogopa bahari, sijui nini barabara. So it was really chaotic for us to build there. And so we changed our program. So now we build on program. Imeuzwa, haijauzwa, piga yote. What has actually happened, I think it's happened maybe in the apartments, tumejipata, let's say about 10 apartments where we found roughly, not more than that, where we finished the building and they were like, in total, since the project began, like 10 units not sold. But most of the time, you'll find units somehow sell off before they're done. And so what happens is, like for example, if you come to Lucy and you ask her, Lucy, listen, mimi nataka kuchukua mkopo, nataka 2-bedroom apartment. Lucy, and the question comes in, if you're paying full, Lucy will look for the unit that is about to be, yani ataangalia, let's say umefika superstructure, kuna unit hapa utaipendelea, or maybe it's a ground floor, you don't like it, anakuambia then itabidi usubirie next na kamilika. So we always have that information from the project. So we just try to balance that off as best as possible. And yeah, ile una ahadi yangu, if unapata mkopo, wewe leta hela, hatuikatai, takusaidia.
Dr. anasisitiza, Dr. Churi, chakula kipo. Tuwege tunaongea huku chewing something.
Sorry, we can go on and on. And that's why we're here for.
So, Alice, kama una swali?
Alice anatafuta mkopo sasa hivi.
Exactly, kama ana swali fulani.
No, but sure, man.
Yeah, but I think what has been very important for us is, and personally, one of the reasons why I enjoy the journey that I've been with CPS is through the course of this period. Oh, that's actually one question I didn't answer you. When is the project completed?
Yes.
We no longer talk about that. We deal with phases, different phases of the. So we decided, initially tulikuwa nasema tutakamilisha by muda fulani, tukaona it gets so complicated. When you start building, ghafla you start. Sasa hivi tumeona kwamba commercial buildings are needed. We move to now commercial building. Tumemaliza pale tena, so we build in phases. So the first phase, we actually intend to finish the first phase by next year.
Okay.
Yeah, that's our goal. Remember you asked me about the institutions?
Yes.
This is a school. And I can tell you, I remember when we started this development, I used to be the one who used to fly the drone. And you mean nimefanya kazi zote fumba. And I remember when I would fly the drone, I'm telling you, all this area you're seeing, all of it was bush.
Wow.
And it's coming at such a rate that we can't even believe it. I remember we actually had to have a discussion with Wanakijiji na Share. When we started, some things you will start noticing. We're right next to the village of Nyamanzi and Dimani. Very average, kawaida village. Then suddenly, just suddenly, poop, around us, coming up.
and the share raised a concern, na ikabidi tumuite RC, share na wanakijiji tukae chini tuongee. What was happening was suddenly people with a bit more financial capability were coming to the village, wa Tanzania na Wazanzibari wakakuja huko kijijini, they know what's happening, wanajua barabara inapopita, and they negotiate a property. Wanakijiji, unfortunately, maybe for lack of experience, sells it at a very throwaway price. Like they really were. We had to sit down, and I said a lot of what we're doing comes from the heart. Tumekaa chini pale, RC, the regional commissioner wa pale, share, Wanyamanzi na Dimani na wanakijiji kuwasisitiza, so muda wa kuuza, it's not the right time, kwa sababu wengine waliuza, kuna njia ilikata sehemu. I know it pains them, yeah. And so I was just looking for this picture where I could see there, and then I started saying, you know, there's all this around us. So there's a lot of institutions coming in, a lot. Personally, I feel I'm telling you as Kevin, I'm waiting for Tanzania watupe wa Kenya. Look, you know how many Kenyans are waiting? I have been sent to KCB so many times, KCB and Equity. Ongea na KCB, Equity, nataka tununue nyumba, lakini Kenyans are now used to mortgage now. It's not as fast as here, but it's definitely faster being issued a mortgage than within Tanzania. Yes.
Quick question.
Yes.
I know you spoke about you have these different projects that are going on. So I'm doing a risk assessment, and my question about the CPS itself.
Yes.
How do you keep up with these old projects? How these projects are being financed? Is it through another loan from another bank, or is it through what do you call bonds?
Oh, bonds.
Yes. So the reason why I'm asking you this because there's also another incident in Tanzania. What happened with the Deco village? They were a construction, and then all of a sudden, boop. The company filed bankruptcy, no money, and then you as an investor, you're stuck with unfinished. Yeah. So I'm just wondering, like, I know you can't really say much about
I can.
it. Yeah, but I just,
but there's something you mentioned pale, I wish I could say, but yani hapa kesho sina kazi afu inarekodiwa.
I know.
But so a lot of the project, first of all, two models come in place. The first model is the payment by we changed initially tulivyoanza mradi, malipo yalikuwa kwa muda, haitegemei ujenzi, kwa muda. Ila sijui baada ya miezi 6 you have a payment, baada ya miezi 6 you have a payment. And the first thing that happened was when we started delays, yani tumepasuana vichwa na Waomani, because I'm now paying my 4th installment, hamna chochote kwenye ardhi. And so we changed that payment plan. That's why we changed, first of all, to a payment plan that somehow should protect you if in case we file bankruptcy. So you pay based on milestones. Tumefikia awamu fulani, ndio unalipa. Yani ikifika sehemu kwamba hatuna hela, you can actually finish the project more or less, you as clients, because we've actually, what you've paid us is already there on the ground. So that was always a backup, yeah. But on top of that, the project has 3 forms of financing. The very first financing we had was mostly equity. Yeah, I know our board had to really liquidate a lot to actually really properly invest within the area. I know that as a fact. On top of that, then we also have private financing. We have investors. Like for example, somebody comes in. I want to say this hypothetically, but somebody comes in and says, okay, the Bush, I love the project. They're involved in real estate here. They understand the value of that, and they bring in like $30-40 billion for the pre-project financing. That's all. That's what happened. For example, because now that's done. Client came to us. I have this. Let's do this. We calculate that. So we have the equity from the entity itself. We have private finances. Yeah, some of them very big individuals who would prefer to remain anonymous. And then also we do have on and off, it just depends on how the project goes. We are very big on, for example, we open actually also, if you would be looking into actually investing with us as an investor, very open. That is not now my discussion, that I would have to push you as far up the chain. But we also have financing that comes into the project. So the whole model is one of the things we really heavily looked at, is to ensure that what, like for example, as you mentioned, Dege does not happen. But hold that space. You will hear some very interesting news very soon. And then we'll see we're serious. We're not even here to shake the industry, I always say. Yeah. So yeah, there's a lot of experience in terms of even the people who've invested with us. We are also very open to hearing from you any areas, and even our clients. And we had, I can tell you as a fact, we did have initially, especially our very first clients, I know at some point we even did, we had slow construction based on, what was this? We had sand issues on the island. We had, by then, I think if there's a company that is resilient, it's us. Because before COVID hit us, we had issues with sand. We had no sand on the island, more or less. We could not bring in sand from mainland Tanzania. So many regulations around that. How we managed, ni Mungu tu. Then we got hit by an even worse issue. We're importing a lot. The port of Zanzibar got closed in 2018 and 2017 and 2018 beginning. They shut down the port of Zanzibar and we heavily relied on it. But we have been resilient. Like our CEO always says, no matter what, east or west, we have to deliver. And we have to change a lot of things, even for us personally, as employees, to just ensure that we keep your investments running. So everything, as I say, comes from the heart. We are working day and night before that drops down. Yeah. Anybody else?
Just a little comment. There's some people who are watching live.
Oh.
Yeah, so this is on YouTube Live, just to let you know.
I didn't know that. I thought
yeah.
it was...
Yeah, so
Love my face and took pictures of it.
yeah, so the people who are not able to come over here like physically, but they're here in Columbus, and some of them they're like away, so they wanted, they wanted to watch this, So right now it's live on YouTube.
Anybody with a question there?
I can see since I'm shooting the video, but
Okay.
if somebody can log in, can you check on YouTube?
It'd be good if they had any questions.
I sent it to TCCA members. Can you view the TCCA members?
That's good to know. I did not know we had anyone online. We've done. I think we did 2 or so sessions online, and so we addressed a few people. And I think you came in late yesterday, extremely late.
me.
No, tumeanza naye.
Yeah, me. I started right on time. Yeah.
Somebody else, a few others came in late, but
yeah.
We did a few sessions this week, and also we were very grateful. Dallas gave us a really beautiful reception. So glad to hear that.
Can you see questions? Comments? Do you see questions there?
So sorry, Kevin.
In the comments.
Maybe,
no, there's no questions.
Question I have, like you mentioned about I think was the payment of 36 to 60.
Yes, but only on one project.
One project.
Yes.
Okay. Oh, okay. So, because I was nimechanganya hapo kati ya hiyo na hii the mortgage ambayo dada Lucy alituambia hapa ambayo inaenda hadi 25 years.
Yes.
I know questions this guy.
So kifupi, I think one of the biggest challenges we had toka mwanzo ilikuwa ni issue ya how do we enable, as you were saying, our target market in Tanzania, how do we ensure, and mpaka sasa hivi our CEO is not happy with us because we still haven't given him the prime solution he wants. Because I remember this, I think Lucy has been in this meeting once where we were discussing about his persona is literally yule mama mboga ile anauza mboga pale nje, how they can at some point be able kumiliki sehemu pale. We are unfortunately, not a bank, but that is his goal. That is what he's been pushing us and the finance team to come up with. So we have come up with very many different models of how the financing works. The biggest where the whole development is mostly is the payment based on milestone achievements, because that is one also for you, a value added payment plan. You know, once you build, you pay, you build, you pay. It's like you building your own house within the development. But it's a tough one, because at some point, like say for example, we finish the substructure of a building, you're being asked to pay 20%. Times could be 10,000, times 30,000. We have clients who are paying $80,000 for the villas as an installment. That's a big chunk. And so, as we continued looking for solutions, mortgage came in next. But now the mortgage is not from us, because our payment plans don't have interest. That's, I think, the biggest challenge, because we don't want to have a payment plan that has interest. And to be honest, we do not want to compete with banks. In fact, for us, we would be happy to hear the bank working efficiently and they offer all those mortgages. Yeah. So we were working on always a model that is slightly different. We cannot be able to offer up till, I think it's about, how many months? 15 years, I think. I think most of them are giving maximum between 10 to 15 years in terms of mortgage. So we have only were able to work out a model that works for the project, because the project needs that financing. You're also part of the financials of the project. So your money goes actually already into the project. And so we wanted to, so the model we came up with was up till 60 months. That's where tumefika for now, but it's a challenge that we're still working on, which the finance team, I think day in, day out, we are currently working out on, as I said, that was the goal we were given, Mama Mboga. How is she able to earn a property? And I remember when we started, and I'm telling you some of these things people take for granted. When we started our mortgage with PBZ, do you know how PBZ calculated the mortgage? And that's how we marketed it in Zanzibar. And we had a few Zanzibaris who went for it. I remember it was minimum $10,000, 10,000 shillings, sorry, per day as a mortgage. Like they had worked out a plan whereby literally a business person paying 10,000 shillings a day and a ways of paying your mortgage. We had worked out that system, and PBZ, I'm sure, is still maybe willing to work on that for anyone. You know, these are also, as Lucy said, also personal conversations that they've also had. But it is so possible. Yeah. So we hopefully at some point we'll be able to do that without interest, to be able to provide a home for less in a longer period of time. But we are not yet there. Tukifika, I think we'll put it everywhere. Yeah.
Okay, so labda kwenye swali la pili, labda economy. Najua tunapata numbers from government sometimes, especially kwamba Zanzibar uchumi unategemea sana na tourism. So since you started the project, it was 2015, right?
Yes, when we started construction, yes.
Tunajua kulikuwa kuna COVID hapo na nini. Sasa in terms of percentage, can you tell me up to imeongezeka kiasi gani swala la tourism?
I would be lying. Okay, I know I have those figures somewhere. I actually have a report I could share, but I would be honest, I'd be lying if I know them off the top of my head. But because the government issued, I think it was in 2022, early last year, they issued the differences, and I think this year also they sent out the figures, the changes. And I can only if I can share that with you so that you can actually go through that. I don't want to give you a percentage that is incorrect. That is not us. But I have that, and I think also Lucy has that as well. We shared with the team, so we could share those numbers with you. But I can tell you right now, just by seeing, if you're there on ground, you really see this difference. During COVID, the tourism we shut down, but it was there, it existed. But I would say it was mostly actually the Scandinavian countries that were coming during that period, because it was very affordable to actually come to Zanzibar. You know how expensive it has become getting a space in hotels in Zanzibar? Right now, as we speak, what is it called? The low season is disappearing, actually, in Zanzibar. We have maybe right now, I could call it 2 months of low season, period. I remember back in the day, November used to be proper low season, and almost all hotels would shut down. Repairs, in preparation of the peak season. Nowadays, no. it's open still even in November. You're seeing hotels, in a hotel, they're doing renovations while you're there because the numbers are really heavy.
Work from home.
Yeah?
Work from home.
Yeah, exactly.
People are on vacation.
Exactly. We actually have people who are moving there, especially from the US. We've had a big number who are moving there to actually work from there.
Okay.
And that's why, for example, for us, this conversation about residency has been heavy on us. Like daily, people are hitting us with it. Because I know couples who are staying there like, okay, can we now also get residency because we are renting here? You know, things like that. There's a lot of conversations around that, but a lot of people who actually want to move businesses there. So in terms of like the numbers, I've seen them shoot up. So right now, if you go to Zanzibar, you will see heavy numbers. Personally, when also a personal journey for me, when I came to Zanzibar, I actually came because I don't like personally the coast of Nairobi, of Kenya, because it's too packed, except if you go north, which is very expensive, yeah. And so I always I'm not a big fan of big crowds. I remember since we arrived here, one of the things I was like, Dallas, it's too much. When I came here, I was like, it's a bit better.
Yeah.
So for me, Zanzibar, when I went there was because actually I felt like it's still very raw and tapped. This is not the case anymore. Like, I loved Paje. I go there nowadays, I don't even want to spend the night there. Like, it's so packed with tourists.
Yeah. I got a question. Another. If you are done with him.
Yeah.
No, I think you guys are doing good job, man.
I want to give you as much as possible. Pick into our brains.
You're right. You're doing good job because last time nilikuwa Zanzibar, I went to Nungwi. They have the best international hotels there. Lakini ukienda kwa locals pale, it's chaos. Yani it's bad. Yani mazingira ya nyumba za locals, it's totally different.
It's crazy.
Na 5 stars hotels zilizoko pale. Kwa hiyo for this project,
we've always had this it's always that I had my brother-in-law. He's German. For the first time he came to Africa. Okay, I took him. Of course, he came to Zanzibar, and I took him to Nungwi, and we were going to Kendwa. The big question he kept asking me in German, Kevin, where are you taking us? Because like as you go through the village, he's like, hey, this looks very remote. Tumetoka mkoani nyumbani Kenya, so he was like, hey, this is feeling more remote than remote. But when you get them to these hotels and you're like, oh, okay. So we want, and that's why for us the Soul was a big project, and we want to make it actually bigger. Our dream is to be able to properly structure these areas, but unfortunately urbanization is happening way faster than Uwezo wetu. Yeah.
That's question. Yeah. You mind, you had a map of Unguja, I think. Do you mind bringing it back?
Yeah. I'm glad you call it Unguja. So it's
a lot of people say Zanzibar, but
yeah.
Unguja is the whole island.
Yeah, it's good.
All right.
Uh-huh.
So I was where's Nongwe on this? Up top, right?
Up.
I've been there. Yeah, I've been there. Yeah. Where is Fumba?
So since you've been to Nungwi, did you get there by air or
no? Drive. From
you drove from mainland.
No. No.
Wait, how did you arrive on the island?
Boat.
By boat.
Yeah.
So the boat you arrived here.
Okay.
Right? So that is Stone Town. It should be. This is Stone Town, yeah.
Deal.
So the boat literally somewhere around here, yeah.
Okay.
If you arrived by air, you will have arrived here.
Okay.
And Fumba is this area here. Unaona hii mchamba wima hapa?
Yes.
Kombeni yani hapa ndo Fumba ilipo. Na Bahresa yupo hapa?
Okay.
Usichukua ni jina letu alipo hapa. So we are here.
Muonyeshe Grace kwamba nilipokuwa nampea maji madogo na kwamba tunaangalia data.
What do you want me to do?
Just zoom mpaka uanze kuona data. Zoom in. Right, good. So Grace, unaona upande huku, there's land here, land there. That area there is not enough to make waves kubwa.
I see.
Yeah.
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 Ah, you're right.
Yeah.
Okay, unless somebody comes from him.
Kutoka huko maji makubwa,
Yeah.
okay.
Yes.
Huku na
I got you.
Oh,
Now, the reason why I asked you that, I wanted to know what's the distance between Fumba to Nongwi?
It depends who's driving. I do less than an hour.
Yeah. So,
Okay.
yeah, but
Yeah.
if you're running like a normal person, kama mimi,
Saying no.
saa moja, 45 minutes, 2 hours. people.
Yeah, I would say 45 minutes.
45.
That's generally my time.
Okay.
So,
That's a quick question, Kevin. I know you talk about this project, but are these all projects just based in Unguja? Do you have any other current project in Pemba Island?
to be honest, we're not even. We have some friends who are doing something in Pemba. We're not.
You're not, got it.
For different reasons. First and foremost, for us, when we look at feasibilities, yeah, I can zoom out for you. Come on.
Sorry,
Very good.
naomba kuonesha Bella Pipe.
Oh, pardon. Yeah, man.
Yes, unaona kwa kutoka pale ni kama 45.
Let me just answer you that. But 1 second. By the way, we have new roads right now. The serikali inapasua njia humu. So for even me, if I'm going to Nungwi, I never use the main roads. Sijui hapa, sijui naenda hivi mjini, njia zipo za kutosha huku. Napasulia huku katikati huku. Roads are empty. Ukitaka kupiga 190, wewe tu.
Wale polisi wetu hapo. Polisi wetu.
Ujishi Zanzibar. Mnaongea tu. So you are asking about
Any current project?
yeah, so
in Pemba Island?
Pemba for us, okay, we've done, for us we don't just do, we've also worked on private projects. So projects that you will never see us marketing, never see us put it anywhere. Even I think right now we have currently one that is ongoing. So those ones are mostly private, like individuals who come to us and they do the whole financing, and we work on projects for them, we design them, and we build it. Yeah.
Is it why? Because of political reasons? Instability?
No, not instability. Pemba is not really unstable. First of all, me, I'll be very honest. Pemba is also not that easy to do stuff. Already, Unguja is giving us all these challenges, and then wataka kuongezea tena Pemba. Bringing in, I don't know, we've not focused on that, and for us also, we were always looking into urbanization. That's why we are an urban developer.
Yeah.
And personally, I don't think we really want Pemba to be urbanized. You know, it needs to remain as it is. And for us, we are solving challenges, if I could put it that way. And we just look at this, I hate to use this word, but it literally looks like, at times when you look at, I have this image, if I could give you, showing what Zanzibar looked like, especially Paje. And then like maybe 20 years ago, and then now it looks like a virus spreading. And so we're just trying to solve that. And that's why we chose this area. Also again, why the government decided to assign that area, because urbanization, that's the best place to actually do it. Next to the airport, Nini, and Paje right now is also, that was opportunity, a heavy opportunity just smiled on us. So some of the areas we're also looking into, mainland for sure. We have been for very long had concepts speaking about spaces in mainland. The Bush was initially a project we intended for Dar es Salaam. And we sat down and were like, we already have the project working, we have this beautiful opportunity, and we put the Bush in, we rebranded it to a Zanzibar product. I'm just saying, you know, we've had ample opportunities out there. Zippo, but we cannot do everything ourselves. And we are glad that there actually are there, especially since we got the first project as a condominium project. We've seen other people now coming in. This is how our product wants to look, and we hope that they deliver. Because my biggest worry is that if any of those projects don't deliver, it will be a sura what. So we hope that they deliver. We have more other people. People are showing interest. We've seen 2 TUI right now, the tour operator TUI is building is actually, I think they're already in plans with a very huge space. I don't know how many rooms they're looking at because of all the tourism that is there. But as I say, we want to build more than just the tourism. Because tukitegemea tourism peke yake could maybe be if one day it happens, but you can see places like Seychelles. But can you imagine if you invested in Seychelles maybe like 30 years ago, how you would be laughing to the bank right now? But Zanzibar has become a bigger, right now, I think, if I'm not mistaken, Zanzibar was just named, and Mount Kilimanjaro also was, I don't know if you follow that, it was just named this year as the top destination in Africa, above Cape Town, with all their developments, above all these other beautiful spaces that we don't know, but yeah. So I know we could go on and on and on and on. Do you have a question?
No.
Yeah. Karibu.
So mimi nilipopata nilipokuwa naangalia naona kama inanipa vibe ya more of retirement homes or business, but sioni ile ya family oriented. Labda kama una watoto wadogo unaweza kuwalea hapo hiyo kwenye chumba chao, sijaona, au labda sijaona kama kuna a community center watoto wanaenda kucheza wapi na nini, sijaona.
Okay. No, it's good you've asked that because I've not highlighted that. The reason why I actually shortened my presentation, normally the initial presentation I normally have, it's like 2 hours just kupitia presentation. They want kila kitu. That's why we always say also it's good that you happen to engage an agent and they get to show you all the spaces. We have the first playground where Kwetu Play, that's why it's called Kwetu Play. The first space that we developed was actually this, they look like donuts.
Yeah, you had the picture.
You've seen the pictures out there.
Over there. Yeah.
It was actually, it's kids who designed, watoto walikuja kwetu wakasema tunataka sehemu, and they did an exercise, they designed a space and we built it for them. Juzi, I was actually very recently, this year, I had, because we actually have a really huge, in fact watoto kule I think at times are more than us, when you see them all. And what happened is I have like these teens, kuna watoto teens hivi, roughly about 10 to about 15 if I could put them. And they're constantly hanging out somewhere around our offices, and they came to our office the other day and said, you guys build something for the kids. This is VP, like, and I had to show them the sports facility that is being built for them. It's been designed, we're just finalizing on some things. So we also have a lot of community spaces every month now. It started off as started off during COVID. We do the farmers market, where we invite Tanzanian based products and people who actually have businesses within Tanzania creating Tanzanian products from as far as Arusha, and they come and showcase their products within the development. Now it has become every month at the beginning of the month. We have now Sauti za Busara now, the first Sauti za Busara where they did out of sight. So there's a lot of community engagement and we are very open to ideas. Yeah. Karibu. Lakini kabla hujaja ongea na Lucy. Usije ukapata mwana si wako. Yes. Let me just say one last question and then maybe you could speak directly because I know I've heard you all here for quite long. Yes.
And that's what it is. My question is about point of contact. Kevin, how easily accessible are you guys? Let me say something, and then let me give you my experience. And the reason why I'm asking this is, we had people from KBC in Kenya did a presentation. We also CRB, and then when they leave, when you try to be in contact with them, it's a nightmare. You have a problem, let's say with your bank account, password, or anything like that. You try to contact them, issue wanapotea. So kwa hiyo nafikiri wa Tanzania wengi, sio Tanzania wengi, diaspora wengi wana hiyo experience mbaya ya KBC na CRDB. Kwa hiyo KCB KCB, eh? Yes, thank you for correcting. Kwa hiyo hata sasa wakija wakifanya hizi presentation, watu wanasema okay, sasa wakirudi nyumbani hao watu kuwa contact in issue. Sasa you guys sijui mna guarantee vipi au mna nini wa kuongea juu ya hiyo kwamba mkiondoka hapa tukitaka kuinvest, tunataka kucontact nini, labda tuna maswali, je, mko available na mnapatikana kwa njia gani? Naomba muongelee hilo kwa urefu. Au kwa ufupi.
Naomba nianze kuongea na wa YouTube. Namba yangu +255 688 278772. My email lucy@cps.africa. I know there are times kuna ile nini time zone differences, but us as CPS naomba tu niwapeni uhakika kwamba kwa vile sisi tunafanya international company, we understand time difference. As long as tumepanga kwamba wewe utatoka kazini saa 11 jioni na kwangu mimi ni saa 9 usiku, nita plan my day ili at that time I'm available for you. And that is why management, sisi watu wa sales, we go to work at, I don't know, 10 in the morning. Kwa sababu they know there are times we work at night. So, saa nyingine maybe ukimpigia mtu saa 8 usiku hapatikani because amelala, but as long as you've planned, unatoka kazini saa fulani, I would want us to talk at this time, then we can always have a meeting or something like that. Also, WhatsApp. Hata kama nimelala, tuma message, nikiamka asubuhi na kujibu hapo hapo. Faster. So sisi kwa kweli, to be honest, Kevin atakuwa shahidi, we do not have that problem. We understand tuna time difference and we work overtime. We are fine with that. Nafanya kazi na Wajerumani, yani acha tu.
If there is one thing that wamenisumbua is to give them flexible time, because I've always wanted them to be in the office 8 to 5. Ni waone pia jana. But over the years, and I have experiences because I've also assisted in a lot, and I don't know how many times I've been asked to do a meeting or a webinar at 3 a.m. in the night because somebody in the US wapo kikundi wanataka, they want to discuss some things, or kuna issue na payment yake tunaongea, au kuna mteja sijui anataka apigie simu benki, sijui ana issue gani apigie akiwa benki, and it's this time zone. Even our finance team, I feel sorry for them because even they work at times until 10 at night. Yeah? My team, 24/7, they're available. I'm trying not to be nowadays, but and I've given them flexible time so that I've noticed that they do a lot of meetings at night, especially not just even for you. You know, the irony is that a lot of our clients, even the ones within our time zone, they prefer tunaongelea investments jioni. So also you find like it would be your morning, so then they would somehow connect that. So they work a lot at night as well. I feel sorry for them, but they are paid for that.
You pay overtime.
Yeah?
You pay overtime.
Bora hata let's check it. Let's check it. Nimezima juzi.
Not only that, are you hiring people? Are you hiring?
But but we will compensate well for that. I say that. We don't do it in an overtime, but I cannot account for how many hours they are working at night, but you know, we ensure that they are well compensated, and they are passionate. That's a good thing. We've actually attracted a very passionate team. I can tell Lucy can tell you right now, this trip, Dr. Robert can assure you, we were told literally asubuhi jioni we were on a flight. And Lucy was like, in fact, I was like, I wanted na boss kajua akiniambia mimi, I was about to refuse it. Kaenda kuongea na nani? So Lucy ananiambia, "Wait, Kevin, now I'm packing. We have clients who have called us in. Let's go." And yeah, and we are here. And today we actually fly out in the AM. Oh, sorry, tomorrow in the AM. Back to Dallas. Have a few meetings there. jioni again. So you, if you have that issue, you have my contact.
No, as long as
Let me know.
As long as it's 48 hours or 3 days.
Yeah.
I understand and I
Oh,
respect
yeah,
time
we-
difference.
yeah.
I don't expect.
But plan. I always say with them, I prefer, and also the way I've been structuring the team. When you want to do a meeting with them, always just plan with them, and they're flexible.
Gotcha.
Yeah? So I'll pass over to Robert.
Thank you so much. Makofi hapo kwa CPS.
Outstanding.
Asanteni sana. Unajua walisema Kiswahili kilitengenezewa Zanzibar, sijui kikaenda kaenda shule Tanzania, alafu kikakuja kikalala Kenya, alafu kikaenda Uganda kufanya nini? Ilikufa DRC. But anyway, Kiswahili ni cha Tanzania na Zanzibar, lakini sisi tunajaribu tu kidogo. So thank you so much wale ambao wamekuja, wa Tanzania wenzetu, wa Kenya. Tuko pamoja. Inaitwa siku hizi Afrika Mashariki. Tuko pamoja. Tunajaribu kumaliza zile mipaka. Mipaka iende. Kama sasa mimi niko na passport ya East Africa. Naweza kwenda kila mahali. Paka kule Mbeya, niende huko, niende Arusha, kila mahali. Tanga kila mahali. Dodoma, and so on. Kwa hivyo tuko pamoja Afrika Mashariki. So nikimaliza tuko na hii mnaona ile Black History Festival. Tunataka tuingie hiyo kwa sababu hiyo ni ya Afrika yote. Okay. Kwa hivyo nyinyi ambao mmekuja hapa tutaendelea kuwapatia information ya hiyo. Okay. Ndio muwe part ya hiyo. Everything about Africa. Kwa hivyo nashukuru sana kwa vile mmefika na mpatie hii mic Steve ndio aweze kurudisha shukrani.
Okay. Yeah, that's what I was gonna ask. Share your contact information so you can continue with discussion with CPS. So I want to thank you everyone for coming. It's been a blessing and it's been a wonderful evening. And for those who are watching, I think we've got live. Did you know we have live? We've been live on YouTube.
Yeah, I already told them. Yeah.
All right. Yeah. So thank you for those guys who are watching from wherever you are. So this has been wonderful. So I just want to say one thing very important, right? There's 3 types of people, right? Those who make it, who make it, right? And then we have those who wonder what happened. And then there are those who don't know what is going on, right? So we don't want to be those people who wonder what's going on and who don't know what's going on. We want to be the people who are making it happening. So contact CPS and continue with the discussion because it's such a great opportunity. And we know the average price of a car in the US is about $48,000, $49,000. And you get yourself, something at Fuma Town and it'll be a generational wealth, right? So let's do something, think about it. And thank you, Kevin. And thank you, Lucy. Yeah, so we would like to have you guys come back again here so we can have a larger crowd. So please share the information with your friends, right? That CPS is doing a wonderful job. All right, thank you. Thank you, bye-bye.
Bangu ya simu 0789801749.
Naomba urudie tena.
Namba yangu ya simu 0789801749. Ila ya Kenya ambayo ndo unapatikana mara nyingi WhatsApp, it's +254 724 733 339, and my email is kevin@cps.africa. You know the irony, namba yangu ya Tanzania najua kwa Kiswahili, sijui kwa Kenya I don't know it in Swahili.
Guys, before everybody leaves, can we take a group picture, please?
The question is, because do you dream in Kikuyu or do you dream
Yani, my team wameniambia nichane passport, and I might get there.
Tuna chakula mingi hapa.
Yeah.
Kevin at CPS, that one, that.
Kevin at CPS.Africa.
Tuwapatie hizi contact zote.
Utapatia kwa njia hiyo, kwa text, yeah. I suggest create a WhatsApp group. If that would be easy.
Oh, very good.
I have a lot of videos I'd like to share with you.
Thank you guys for joining us in this YouTube. This is the end. Thank you.
Tupigwe kapicha kamoja.